What's My Line? Brought to you by Kellogg's. Kellogg's Cereals. The best to you each morning from Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now let's all play What's My Line? And now, live from New York, let's meet our What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
And now the star of a very funny comedy, a movie called The Brass Bottle, the very funny Mr. Tony Randall.
Mucho. It is my pleasure to introduce a bright Easter posy who opens Tuesday at the Yonkers Playhouse in the comedy Kind Sir, Miss Arlene Francis. Bright Easter posy.
And now my favorite bunny who got out of his Mount Kisco hutch just to be with us tonight. The distinguished president of Random House, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Our panel moderator is a hero tonight because he was taking his Easter stroll in the park today and he caught a pickpocket who was trying to steal a purse from a little old lady. And John says it's the first robin he saw this spring. Oh! Here he is. Hero John Charles Daly.
That was funny.
Well, it would take an old hood like Bennett to come up with a Robin story like that. Heavenly days, Bennett Cerf. Mr. Randall, nice to see you back.
Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Your place, sir. Hope you have some fun tonight. I'm sure you're going to guess a lot of them, too.
As per unusual.
No, not at all. They're very interesting occupations. I must warn you, I think a little bit on the tough side tonight. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before my friends on the panel a little bit later in the program, and we'll meet our first challenger after this. And now to meet our first challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please? Lynn Palmer, right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Palmer?
Miss.
Miss Palmer. Where are you from, ma'am?
New York.
From New York. Nice to have you with us. May I present our panel, Miss Palmer. Now, will you join me over here? We'll let the audience at home and the audience in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right. Now, panel, we can tell you that Miss Palmer is self-employed and deals in a service. And let's put old Robin to work. Mr. Cerf, will you start the general question?
Miss Palmer, you look very lovely. Have you got anything whatever to do with the entertainment industry?
No.
No?
Let me have a small conference.
It's Easter, John.
And he's got a bunny.
Bennett, we want to be fair. Now, I don't want to mislead you. We will agree that it could be considered that there is a relationship, not necessarily a very substantial one, but certainly a relationship with entertainment in the activities which Miss Palmer is.
Then I should proceed, John?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Miss Palmer, do you use that beautiful figure and face of yours in a professional way?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
You mean that you could do your work? I'm just interpreting Bennett's answer, if I may. Enlarge upon it, John. She could
Well,
do
I
that
think
work
actually, Dorothy,
without
if Miss
being
Palmer
beautiful.
looked like me, she could still do her work, is what
I
Bennett
see.
is
That's what I wanted to know. All right. Could anybody on this panel use your services, Miss Palmer?
Yes,
Would we be better off or happier because of it?
you might.
Would we deal with you in the daytime?
Not necessarily.
But you
could we?
Yes.
You could.
We could also deal with you at night,
Yes.
if we so required. Could everybody on this panel of both genders use your service?
Yes.
Would we use your services indoors?
Sometimes.
Out of
Yes.
doors, too?
Well, I
Night
would
and
think we would
day?
agree it could be done, it could be true that you might use the service outdoors, but we would normally expect it would be indoors.
I see. Would you come to us for this service? Could we summon you in any way?
Yes.
We could just ring up and you would come and do whatever it is that you do.
Well, the assumption here is you could ring up, and if the schedule would permit, then Miss Palmer would make an engagement to come to where you are, yes.
Miss Palmer, may I assume that you do not require any special degree to do what you do?
No.
Do you
Yes, you may assume it.
do you use your hands in your work?
Yes.
Do you ever give anything to anyone for a consideration?
Sometimes.
Is it ever food or drink?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Randall. I would put a footnote in there that it's true that Miss Palmer uses her hands. This is not to connote in any way that she uses her hands in such a special way as to exceed the normal use of the hands in the conveyance of the service. Mr. Randall.
Miss Palmer, do you wear other than such clothes as you now have on in the performance of your duties?
Sometimes.
Would we recognize more or less what you do if we saw you in your habit?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Habits.
Habit means a great many things.
Yes, indeed it does. You be careful. Miss Palmer, is it possible that I would ask you to give me something in exchange for money?
Yes.
Do you work alone when you're doing your job?
Yes.
Are you in a kind of enclosure when you're doing that job?
Yes.
Do people come to you either singly or in pairs, perhaps, for your service?
Either singly or in pairs? Yes.
While you are vaguely associated with something in the entertainment world, is it possible that you are not a performer yourself?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with the giving out of tickets for performers?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Sir.
Miss Palmer, in the performance of your service, do you ever come into physical contact with the people you are serving?
Sometimes.
As a necessary part of the service?
Not necessary.
No.
I presume not in a necessary
Not
part of the
No.
service.
Sometimes.
Trapped.
Miss Palmer, are the people for whom you're performing the service fully clothed when you perform the service?
Yes.
They are not made healthier or more beautiful as a result of the service that you perform. Is that correct?
No.
Yes, they are not, no.
Not made more
Yes, they are
beautiful. Do you demonstrate anything or show people how to do anything?
No.
No, I don't think so, Bennett. 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Now, Miss Palmer, your job seems to be rather loose in area, although you told Miss Francis you worked in an enclosure. But you told me that you could come to me and render your services. Would you come in an enclosure?
Unless it was a nice day and she felt like walking.
John, what I'm trying to get is that the enclosure is not a necessary part of your work.
No.
No.
That's just when you're doing it by yourself. But you can also do it somewhere else.
Well,
right?
the basic term of reference here is that we agreed earlier that it would be reasonable to expect that Miss Palmer would perform her service in inside an enclosure of some kind. rather than
Inside an
outside.
enclosure sometime. Are people having a good time when you do what you do?
Not always. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Well, is that a qualified yes? or
That's a qualified yes.
unqualified?
I would say they're having a good time in the sense that they're interested in what is happening, yes. I'm going to give you one more minute because you don't seem to be getting
We're
close.
off, aren't we?
May I rule out that you have anything to do with religion?
Yes, you may rule that out. Directly.
Is there anything at all instructive about what you do
Yes.
or advisory?
Mhm.
Do you give advice to grown-ups rather than children?
No. Not necessarily.
Not to the exclusion of children. That's 6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Randall.
I didn't understand that. Is the inference to be drawn that she works more with children than with grown-ups?
No, you can draw any inference you want to. All we're going to state is that the services are not exclusively given to adults. Hello, Tony.
I think I'll throw away every question I have and start from the beginning again. Do you require special training to perform your job?
Yes.
Does that training include a degree?
No.
No, not necessary. 7 down and 3 to go. Do you want to take a shot, Irene?
Do you move about in your job?
You mean as a part of performing
Yes.
the actual function?
If
That
you want to
makes it-
give me a
Can I
no,
take a
okay.
crack at this? Have
You-
you got anything to do with television or radio?
May I take a crack?
Yeah.
Do you write words or music?
No.
I have one correct ask.
Go.
Is she the secretary to some personality in show business?
Now, you fill me with horoscopes. I mean horoscopes.
Oh, no.
An astrologer. There was a tough one. I told you they were tough tonight. And this is, Ms. Palmer makes up horoscopes based on the positions of the planets, which in relation to your particular birthday.
I would like to ask Miss Palmer if she predicted we wouldn't get her tonight.
I don't make predictions.
I see.
Don't make predictions. This
What kind of a day is this for John Daly?
I don't make predictions.
Well, you heard what he...
I don't have his chart.
You would need all the
Lucky
charts
thing.
you...
And the information.
But you have all the charts you really need. You heard the introduction. It's been a bad day for me, Bennett. A bad day. That's all we can say about that. Now, this is... Miss Palmer goes out to people. People come to Miss Palmer, and she said she could do it on the beach. She works up some of the horoscopes on the beach, but we agreed that usually she works inside. And she has you can do it yourself if you know enough about it. They get a record on that basis.
Can you tell by looking at people what their signs
No.
are?
No.
You can't? Okay.
What do you have in mind?
I have a certain sign I wanted to ask
Well,
you about.
if you don't make predictions, why do people have their horoscopes done?
I do mostly consultations, analysis, and help them and guidance with their problems and that type of thing, more than anything else.
It's not so
I'm a
much...
scientific astrologer.
I would say, Dorothy, if I understand, you correct me if I'm wrong, that the differential here is that an astrologer makes up the horoscope on the basis of your planets and signs, doesn't make any prediction, but declares that an area of possibility is opened up by the movement of this planet as against the other planet. I'm an astrologer. Anybody? Yes.
John.
Thank you
Right
very
on
much,
the
Miss
program.
Palmer. I've confused them sufficiently, I think. You'd like to- All right, let's see what we can do with the second challenger. Will you enter and sign in, please?
John, just a word. You believe in astrology?
I haven't given it a thought, actually. Would you sign in? Jimmy? The issue here, as you put it, was at the time he has his relationship to the product.
Oh, good heavens. This leads me to the conclusion that he takes some living thing and transforms it into something edible for
No,
our
not
needs.
necessarily. The question was asked as to whether it was edible. We have to agree that the general product is edible. This
Oh.
does not necessarily mean he has a relationship to the making of it into an edible condition.
Oh, I see, because we went on all about how Arlene was going to swallow it.
My diet is under observation.
Your diet is
All
under
right,
suspicion.
Mr. Dawson, while you work with this thing, it is alive. Is it
Yes.
all one kind of particular life?
Yes.
Is it in the animal kingdom? Is it animal rather than fish?
Yes.
Is it four-legged rather than two-legged?
Yes.
Is it anything that might be found on a farm.
Yes.
Would it be considered more of a farm animal than a pet that you would have in your home?
No.
Oh, it would be more of a pet.
That makes it 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Randall.
Does this pet have seasonal connotations?
We have a small problem here. You're jumping to a conclusion that isn't necessarily valid. Now, I'll say no more than that.
You raise an animal which is a pet and is edible.
Yes.
Is that? Some people have no hearts at all.
We've agreed it's a pet, but this is not, again, exclusive.
I see. This four-legged animal. I may rule out rabbits, is that right?
You may not rule out rabbits.
Talk about misleading, John.
Oh, that's
I'm a great poker player, as you can see.
Arlene's going to come up with something now.
Oh, no, actually, Jim started this, breeding rabbits, which he does for many purposes, for pets, you know, and for breeding stock and all that sort of thing. And he started as a 4-H project, and it has developed into a big business. And he's making, I trust, a goodly sum.
I'll make some.
He's making some and saving it for college expenses. Yes?
John, with rabbits, it's not very hard, is it?
With rabbits, it's not very hard. Well, I don't know. Jim would know more about that than I do. And, Jim, I want you to write me a letter.
Jim, do you raise those bunnies for the Playboy Club?
No.
How many do you have, Jim?
I have about 700 now.
When you left home, you had seven.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you...
7,000 by the time he gets
I bet your mother has a lot of fun. Every time she opens the closet door, boom, comes a rabbit, huh?
No, she helps out, and my father helps out. It's a family project, too.
Oh, good. That's it. Get your father and mother to work. There's no point letting them just hang around doing nothing and you go over there. Well, Jim, congratulations on having to get up and go to have a business, and thanks for being our guest on What's My Line.
Right off the track.
We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our sponsor. And now the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery challenger, for which my friends are blindfolded. Blindfolds in place, panel?
John.
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you enter mystery challenger and sign in, please? All right. All right, panel. One question at a time, moving clockwise, and we'll begin with Mr. Randall.
Are you a performer?
Yes.
Miss Francis.
Are you a performer better known for your work in pictures?
Yes.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Mr. Sir?
Do you ever burst into song in the course of your performance? Sometimes.
Miss Kilgallen?
Do you own an airplane of your own?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Randall.
The vocal disguise is so good that I can't tell if it's a man or a woman. Are you a man?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
If you think I'm going to ask if it's a woman, you're crazy. Are you a woman who has been in pictures for the last, at least for 10 years?
Yes.
Mr. Sir?
50. Well, that's me.
Did you ever play in a musical called The Indestructible Molly Brown? No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you have a very beautiful daughter who recently got married?
Yes.
Go ahead, Dorothy.
Betty Davis?
That's right. Aunt May, I must say that there's another case I get a little bit worried. I was afraid that your voice would give you a lot of trouble tomorrow if you had to keep doing that very long. Wasn't that wonderful?
It's not so terribly different. As a matter of fact, it's reached a point where very often in the morning, the telephone operator in the hotel will say, "Yes, sir." The first time this happened, it really threw me, and I just don't argue anymore. I say, all right.
Well, the wonderful truth is that I suppose you're as busy making pictures now as you have been. Why are you in New York? Are you,
I'm in New York to see Beatty, and thank you for the compliment that Beatty is beautiful. I shall tell her. I'm here to see Beatty, and my son came to New York with me, and my daughter Margot has been here for Easter, and we started early this morning egg hunting.
Oh, wonderful.
And then I have been seeing plays, and I've fallen madly in love with this week with Barbara Streisand. I think she's the most wonderful thing I've ever seen.
Well,
It's hard to believe that she's never really been a performer before. It's just, I just sat with my mouth open in awe and love of her, really.
well, I'm sure you've made a very happy Easter for her, Miss Betty. That's
Well,
a
I don't think she
wonderful
needs
phrase.
my compliments. I think she just, someday they'll be doing her life.
Well, I know your praise will mean a great deal to her. And thanks very much for honoring us on
Well,
Sunday night. Lovely to have
I'd
you
love
with
to
us.
see you again.
Well, on the general grounds that you've made a good recovery, we'll agree you get some congratulations, panel. We'll all be back after this word from our alternate sponsor. And good night, Dorothy Kilgallen.
Good night, John. Happy Easter, everyone. Good night, Tony. We love having you always.
Thank you, Dorothy. Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Tony. It's been nice to see one of the faces of Dr. Lau. How many does he have?
7.
7. All right.
Thank you.
Good luck with it. And good night, dear Bennett.
I see Governor Torres and Mrs. Torres of Maryland in the front row. Happy Easter, Governor. And to you too, John.
Thank you, and good night, Bennett. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Cox.